Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Callista Solon, and you're watching NLC Trans. Tonight I'm here with my dear friends and co-hosts, Tara Alexander and Stacy Dozier. Renee could not be with us tonight. Obviously, I sound like hell, and I want to apologize for that. But I will be fine once the trees around me all stop having sex. All this tree pollen's it's making me crazy here. Tara and I actually went to California just before all the trees went into bloom, and the air was nice and clear and everything was great, and then we came back and got hit by this wall of pollen, and it just knocked me on my proverbial you-know-what. Anyway, so I sound like hell and I apologize. Also, if I get up and leave suddenly, I'd like to apologize in advance for that. It just means that I needed to cough up a lung, and out of courtesy, I thought I would spare our audience witnessing the act. Is that sort of like future past tense? Anyway, so tonight, obviously, I'm going to try to let my co-hosts do most of the talking because my voice is a mess. So anyway, stuff going on. We've got some stuff we want to talk about tonight. I know. We've got something going on at the Capitol tomorrow.
Tomorrow's
CT Equality.
CT Equality's Lobby Day, Equality Day, where they're going to be lobbying the legislators to support HB 6599, which is the raised House bill that would add gender identity and gender expression to Connecticut's anti-discrimination laws.
Yeah. And I sort of committed to doing that, but I'm going to sort of play that by ear. I think my legislators would probably not appreciate me coughing up a lung in their offices. But let me see how I feel in the morning, whether or not I'm going to be able to do that. But it's certainly something that, and honestly, my legislators, I am reasonably certain at this point are on our side in this one. I think we've got their support.
I think that's true.
Ryan and Edith Prague, Kevin Ryan, Edith Prague. I'm pretty sure they're both on our side on this one. So I'd still like to go see them, but I'm going to try to go. I don't know how I'm going to be feeling, so we'll see. Anyway, yeah. So, what else is going on?
Well, this on the 30th, this Saturday, I think it is the Transgender Lives Conference that Renee talked about last week at the Yukon Medical Center in Farmington. You can go to transadvocacy.org, I believe, to get more information about the Transgender Lives Conference. But it's the seminars about the intersection of health and law regarding transgender people. So it tends to be very interesting, and it tends to be much more, I guess I want to say ally-centric than, say, the True Colors Conference, which is really targeting LGBT community. You've got lawyers and politicians and healthcare workers, in addition to the trans community, who are going to these conferences, who are intermingling, who are talking about problems they're having, the strides that are being made, and how various different health and legal issues are impacted when you're trans. And they've got some great speakers lined up, and I believe there's still room in the conference if anyone's interested in going.
Yeah, I understand that's a really good conference. I have not been to that one, but I've heard that it's a really good one. There's so much stuff we can't make it to all the events, unfortunately, and some of them can be a little bit far afield. But
well, also I think it's this weekend out in Rockville, Connecticut. They're having the art show that Jay is going to be in.
Oh yes. Yeah, Jay is just adorable, and has got an art piece in the show, which is very cool.
Yep, is a young trans man who has some art that he made that will be on display, along with other trans-related art and artists from all around the country, I believe.
Yeah, it's a national thing, I believe it is.
I don't remember the name of the place, So if anyone's watching that has the flyer, remembers the name of the place, can call in and help us out here. But I know that art show, I'm pretty sure, was this weekend as well, this Saturday as well. I think it was the same day as the Transgender Lives Conference.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then it's next weekend, and you can go to both.
Right. Right. Anyway.
So in May, I believe, wasn't it, I want to say it was the 16th, there's a 5K walk-run
Right.
benefit
Yep.
for True Colors.
Right, yep.
So yeah, we were planning on going to that. We're walking up a storm all the time. That should be fun, and it's for a great cause.
Yeah.
It is, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to walk.
True Colors being well, we talk about the True Colors Conference quite a bit. There's a whole other side to True Colors, their primary mission that we don't talk too much about, but we did have their director of mentoring on earlier. We should probably have her back. But their primary mission is to provide mentoring and support to LGBT youth throughout Connecticut, sort of the big brothers, big sisters for everyone else. And there are apparently a lot of LGBT kids across the state that are being kicked out of their homes, that are being abused. They work extensively with the Department of Children and Families to place kids into supportive, accepting foster care. And, you know, they've told us on several occasions that a lot of the Connecticut kids are placed out of state because we just don't have the facilities here. We don't have the enough supportive, you know, positive home environments or
Right. I want a kid, but I don't want one of those kids.
yeah.
Yeah. That's sad.
So this 5K walk run, it is in May. It's got to be on a Saturday or a Sunday. 15th, 16th, something around there. Sounds
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And we're going to go find it now.
Anyway, go on.
And yeah, it's a great cause to support True Colors.
I thought I did print that out, but it may be in my bag.
Yeah, I didn't see it in there, but
Yeah,
and I don't
it's
know my
got to
old
be
paperwork.
the 14th through the 21st. Okay, we'll have to get back to that because I'm not getting a internet connection right now, or I could pull it right up. But
I know printed it, but
So one of the things that that we'd love to know about actually is from the local community. What events do you know that are going on that we can put on our calendar and let people know about? We have a couple of really great supportive places right here in New London, not just Frank's and O'Neill's, but throughout New London, the Hygienic and the Bean and Leaf and a bunch of other places that are LGBT friendly. It's a very supportive community. So if there's events going on, we'd love to know about them. We put them on our calendar and send it out to the distribution. No luck.
no, I don't think I've got it. I've got it somewhere else, I swear. But anyway, no matter. We'll get that information. I was a little out of it today. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Just feeling a little under the weather. Sorry.
So since tomorrow is Lobby Day, we can talk a little bit about the bill that's before the state legislature,
Yeah, HB 6599.
an act concerning discrimination. We did some public testimony on it earlier last month.
Yep.
This month, last month. And the Judiciary Committee voted on it favorably. It's been sent to the House. So it's now officially in the hands of the House, and the House will be voting on it soon. So we'd strongly like to encourage everyone who's watching that has an opinion about it, we're hoping in favor of equality and fairness, that you contact your legislators in the House and ask them to support HB 6599 to ensure fairness and equality for all of Connecticut's citizens. 6599 will add gender identity or expression to the list of protected classes in the areas of lending and housing, public accommodations, the employment, that's the other big one.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop discrimination from happening overnight, but it does send a clear message to all the employers, all the businesses, all the citizens of the state that transgender folks aren't second-class citizens. You don't get to treat us poorly just because we're trans.
Yeah.
Most of the state knows that, and we've had a really good reception. The problem is it only takes a few people to do a lot of damage.
And the few people are vocal.
Very vocal.
That's the
we
problem.
have overwhelming support for this bill,
Right.
and if it gets raised and voted on, it'll pass.
Yeah.
Which we know.
Right.
And my fear, of course, is that that if you don't pass a bill like this, it sends a really kind of a backwards message.
Well, that's exactly true, because with this sort of issue, silence is an endorsement. It actually is. It endorses a status quo of discrimination, and we can't do that we can't inflict that on any group.
Yeah. Discrimination is just wrong. It's got to stop. And so we need this bill.
Yeah.
So yeah, we encourage anybody out there that has a heart, call your state
Call or
representative.
write or send email, but sometime, in the next week or so, because it's going to go to the House really soon. And the number of people that these legislators, the number of constituents they hear from, really does make a big difference, not just in their own voting habit, but also how they talk to their colleagues in the House and the Senate when they're talking about the bill. And gosh, I didn't think there'd be a lot of support, but I heard from dozens of constituents. This is the hallway and the water cooler talk at the Capitol. Because you call in, because you make the difference when you call in and tell take an active role in your government, take an active role in the legislative process.
Yeah, and it's really important because we had it. It got through the Senate 2 years ago.
97.
97.
Sorry, 2007.
Yeah, 2 years ago. No, it's not 2 years ago anymore.
No.
But time has
Time keeps on slipping.
It's,
slipping.
yeah. It's that apparent nonlinear nature of time. Anyway, it got through. It was voted on in the Senate. It passed 30-4. It has overwhelming support in both the Senate and the General Assembly. And the thing about this is that the only reason we haven't got this is because it simply doesn't get there. It doesn't get voted on. And the big difference here is that we've got all these representatives and senators out there that support it. But if you push them on it, they sort of need to be pushed and reminded of this a lot in order to get them to actually make sure that it does get raised and voted on.
And that again is a big difference and a big important reason why each and every person that's listening and your friends and your family, it's very important to call or write or email your representatives, because they decide what comes up next. Yes, there's some political agenda involved, but if you hear from your constituents that they want this voted on and they want this passed without amendment, they're going to be more likely to get their fellow party members to push it up in the order. And there's some very big things that are coming up in this year's legislature with the budget and the death penalty and some of the prison reform they're looking at and transportation reforms. And it would be very easy, if there's not enough voices behind it, to just let this bill slide one more year. And we're asking for your help to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
Get it voted on on the floor of the House and the floor of the Senate. Call it for a vote. Let it live on an actual vote.
Yeah. We already know. We already have a commitment from our governor that he'll sign it.
If it gets to his desk, he'll sign it.
So.
And it passed out of the Judiciary Committee like 27-14, something like that. So, that's indicative of the kind of support it has if we can actually get it called for a vote.
Yeah, it was a 2-to-1 margin.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, it was very impressive.
So to that end, there have been some opinion pieces in the current in the last few days. The
I'm
one,
just dying to talk about. Go ahead.
if you'd like to talk about
No,
something
no,
else,
no,
that's
no.
fine.
No, I want you to
I'll
talk
let
about
you
this.
talk.
No, I don't want to talk. I want you to talk about these things. Please do.
The what got the brouhaha started on April 24th was an opinion piece by Leslie Wolfgang, whose husband testified against HB 6599 as a member of the Family Institute of Connecticut at the public hearing that we attended. Without reading her opinion piece in its entirety, it's available on thecurrent.com. She talks about how the bathroom bill, as the Family Institute of Connecticut calls it, would extend sexual discrimination laws to people who disagree with the gender they had at birth, and would allow them to access places where they would make other people uncomfortable or worse. The bill doesn't contain common sense provisions prohibiting transgender persons from using women's bathrooms, locker rooms, and public showers. And she says, as a mother, she's deeply concerned about her kids being in bathrooms with transgender people. She says, unlike homosexuals, many transgender men are sexually attracted to women. They express their gender identity in a skirt while at the same time they are attracted to, date, and marry women. And this is very worrisome to me when it comes to women's bathrooms, a place where transgendered persons desperately want to go. Well, the reason that a male to female transgender person would want to go to the bathroom in the women's restroom is A, because that's appropriate, we're female, and B, because having a trans woman use the men's room isn't going to make anyone comfortable, the men or the trans person.
And it could make the trans person injured,
Yes.
which is a worse outcome.
You know, the notion here that transgender men is a misnomer, because a transgendered man is actually a female to male transgender person. But assuming that she means transgender people who were incorrectly identified at birth as male, being sexually attracted to women and being able to use the same restroom as them, I would be concerned that she is ignorant to the number of lesbians there are in the state.
Right.
Lesbians also are attracted to women and get to use the bathrooms, and there is no law on being proposed to stop that either.
It's probably important to note that when a lesbian wants to use the bathroom, she's thinking about having to pee.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the same with us.
That, I mean,
That's usually the reason.
She says this bill would permit men, and more correctly trans women, who are sexually attracted to women and disguised as women. So right off the bat, she's completely missing the point of what it means to be transgender. She says that men disguised as women is what transgender means. Would be allowed to use women's public restrooms. It's a fundamental miss on the science, Leslie.
Yeah.
right.
Another concern is for Connecticut's parents with school-age children. Gender expression can take many forms, she says, and is based solely on how the person desires to express themselves. One expression is a heterosexual man who chooses to dress as a woman, or as a woman and a man at the same time, not temporarily or as part of a transitional period, but as a permanent expression of self. There are certainly people who enjoy having an androgynous appearance. If you're going to be judging a teacher's abilities based on what they look like and what they're wearing, I think you're again missing the point of a meritocracy, where people with the right skills and talents, people that are really great with kids and really encourage them to learn, and you know what, if they look a little different, that diversity doesn't hurt. Kids don't care. They really don't. Their parents do.
This is ugly enough as it's worded, in my view, but that can be extended. I mean, when you're talking about the way someone dresses and making them uncomfortable, are you going to extend that to discrimination based on culture? Maybe someone grew up and was educated in another part of the world.
Well, I mean, just
I mean-
something right up your alley, religion is a protected class. And
Right.
by the way, something the individual gets to choose and express. You're not born as a religion.
Right.
You know.
So maybe you come to work and you have a handful of rings that express your religion. Now, I actually remove most of mine, but that one never leaves my thumb. But what does my religion have to do with anything?
Yeah. Well, and that's the point, right? If you walk into a classroom and you're not Christian and the teacher is wearing a cross around his or her neck and that makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry, but that's a protected expression for them.
Right.
They chose that religion, they chose to express that religion, and
it's fine.
and their
Why wouldn't it
expression
be
is
fine?
protected.
Why wouldn't it be fine? Why wouldn't the Star of David be fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it? I'm ignorant as to what symbol Muslims would wear, but why wouldn't that be fine too?
Well, you could go with a headscarf. That's controversial enough.
That had better be fine, in my view. It had better be fine. But, I mean, we can extend it to this sort of thinking to that. I mean, and once we let people go down that road, where does it stop?
Yeah. Yeah. So she says in closing that I understand a person's desire to be who they want to be. I too grew up on sappy songs like Free to Be You and Me. So, already in her closing where she claims to be, in favor of self-expression, she's already denigrating it by
Right.
saying these sappy songs, meaning implying that there's no intellectual basis for this argument.
Right.
It's just a sappy song. She says, but now is not the time to sacrifice common sense at the altar of political correctness, which again misses the point that it's not a question of being politically correct. It's a question of being fair and equal and
Right. And, well, it
protecting Connecticut
offers
citizens.
the logical fallacy that what has been offered here is common sense, and
Yes.
this isn't the case.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, that I'm not willing to stipulate that part of the argument.
But so she wrote this opinion piece, and this is her opinion, and she's entitled to her opinion. And
frankly, I'm insulted by the whole bathroom bill thing to begin with. This notion that this is all about bathrooms. This is about anti-discrimination. This is about
and equal rights and protecting all of Connecticut's citizens, even the trans ones.
yeah. It's about fairness and equality. It's not about bathrooms.
So that was 2 days ago, and today there were more than half a dozen rebuttals.
Good.
Although I missed, Liz DuPont Deal from Windsor wrote today in thecurrent.com to say, fear employed to justify discrimination. She says, as a mother and as a thinking person, I'm moved to point out that not all of us agree with Leslie's fear-mongering. I'm pretty confident that the only thing I share with Ms. Wolfgang is the expectation of privacy and safety in the bathroom. We part ways dramatically when she speculates that allowing transgender people to use the bathroom appropriate to their gender identity is somehow a threat to her children. People are people, and expectations of privacy and rules of safety always apply. To say that transgender people are more or less likely than the general population to be violent or dangerous is to discount science and common sense. Using groundless fear to deny equal protection under the law is outrageous and wrong on every level. And Valerie Stewart from Middletown wrote, I chopped off the title. As a woman and a mother of two, I have little concern with a transgender person, but I have grave concern for the hate and fear of small-minded people like Leslie. We've seen this type of hate speech in every struggle for equal rights. The transgender community, like the women's community, the Latino community, African American communities, are all made up of families. The condoning of hateful actions has no business in our law. I'm missing too many of these, but Nikki McGarry from West Hartford writes that Leslie Wolfgang's claim against the transgender bill suggests that women will be more vulnerable to sexual assault in public bathrooms unless we legalize the discrimination against transgender folk. As a university instructor who teaches about violence against women, and as a mother who cares about the safety of our community, it's clear to me that Ms. Wolfgang's claim is dangerously misleading regarding the reality of violence against women. The vast majority of sexual assailants are heterosexual men. RAINN reports that there is a sexual assault every 2 minutes. 1 in 6 women are survivors of attempted or completed rape, and 90% of rape victims are women. The majority of rapes are perpetrated by someone the victim knows. Also, research shows that transgender folk are especially targeted for all forms of violence, including sexual assault by men. Mrs. Wolfgang is right about one thing. With such high rates of sexual assault against women, public bathrooms, including elevators, parking lots, sidewalks, cars, bedrooms, etc., are not necessarily safe places for many women. But what she fails to recognize is they're not safe places for transgender folk either.
Yeah.
And then the last one here, Amy Miller from Hartford,
Our own Amy Miller, yes.
who is a member of QELF, the Connecticut Women's Education Legal Fund, wrote in with some of the specific statistics. Since 1973, anyone want to do the math? That's almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
States have introduced and passed laws that prevent discrimination against someone because they're transgender. The proposed Connecticut law is founded on experience and thoughtfulness. There are already 13 states that successfully implemented laws like the one Connecticut is proposing without experiencing any of the problems Ms. Wolfgang hypothesizes. Connecticut began discussions on this legislation in 2004. For the past 7 years, as people debated the bill, parents of children who are transgender have had to sit by and watch their sons and daughters face discrimination. In one of the worst recessions we've experienced, transgender individuals who simply want to support their families and find themselves even more vulnerable in the job market. The people proposing and supporting the legislation are parents, siblings, principals, and businesses of Connecticut who also have significant concerns about their own safety and safety of others. This legislation does not increase harm to others. Instead, it offers protections and reiterates that Connecticut is a state that believes in fairness and equality. And that's a great point to make, that no matter what opposition may imply, nothing about the bill to add gender identity or expression to the anti-discrimination law can in any meaningful way increase the number of attacks or the violence or et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a crime to commit one of those acts yesterday, today, and the day after the bill passes.
Right. It doesn't decriminalize violence in any way whatever.
What it does do is send the message that the violence directed against transgender folks is not acceptable. Discrimination against transgender folks is not acceptable. But
absolutely. And clearly we know that, again, this whole bathroom thing, it's the people that are most unsafe in public bathrooms are the transgender people. Yeah. We saw that recently with a fairly well-publicized case that we've talked about at length. But yeah, it's like the people that are likely to get attacked in a bathroom are the people we're trying to protect.
Right.
So this whole thing is so backwards.
all right. So what that leads us to then, since we're stuck on the bathroom piece.
Well, no, I was just saying. Yeah, I know.
All the people that wrote in today, or almost all of them, made reference of an attack that happened recently in Maryland, where a transgender woman leaving the women's bathroom was violently and brutally assaulted by a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old who proceeded to beat her and kick her even when she was on the ground, dragged her across the restaurant by her hair. Meanwhile, the McDonald's staff was sitting there videotaping it and egging them on and yelling at them to hurry up and get out before the cops got there. And we actually have the 3-minute video for you.
It's a horrible thing, but
Yes.
And I want to point out that I'm not being, I'm supportive of my dear friend showing it. I'm unable to watch it, so while I'm not being rude
No.
or dismissive of anything, I just
Kinda
actually am unable to
Yeah.
handle the violence. So
And it
I'm
is-
going to step out of the room while this is happening.
okay.
And the clip is quite violent and graphic, and there is some harsh language to it, so it may not be suitable for all viewers, as they say. It's about 3 minutes long. We're going to take a moment before we go to the clip. The clip is 3 minutes long, so you want to come back in 5 or 6 minutes if you're concerned about it. It is quite disturbing, and but I think it's really important to show that it may be a small minority, but it's, Maryland ironically has almost the very same bill in front of them, and they 2 weeks ago killed it.
Yeah. And what message did that send?
And that sent, as we said earlier, that sent the message that it's not important to protect transgender people. So hopefully, if you're going to be disturbed by the sort of graphic nature of this attack, you've already left the room, and Reggie will roll our 3-minute clip.
Go back. She bleeding, yo. She bleeding, mouth bleeding. But she having a fucking seizure, yo. The police is on their way, yo. She having a seizure right now. She need help right now. They on their way. She having a fucking seizure, yo. Y'all better get the fuck up out of here. I need to go. She having a fucking seizure, yo. Yo, y'all need to go. Go out, go ahead, yo. Oh, where's your phone at? Right there. Y'all need to go before the police come, yo. Yo, go ahead, yo. I know I had no fucking seizure on the floor.
Yes, that was very disturbing, and the girl actually went into convulsions. She was hurt so bad.
Yeah, when police arrived on the scene, they found her in the midst of a seizure, which is what it looks like at the end of the video.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible thing.
It's our hearts go out to her, Jamie Lee Polis. She's. You may not be able to hear it in the clip at the beginning of the video. It sounds like she's trying to say something about my ID. She apparently did use the women's bathroom, and on the way out was approached by the 14-year-old girl who supposedly spit in her face, and the 18-year-old girl got involved as well. And after a few moments, the McDonald's worker started videotaping it. It's disturbing, and it's not to say that this kind of thing will happen here in Connecticut. The question is, do we want, is that what it takes to actually spear people into passing anti-discrimination laws? Wouldn't it have been great if, like, right there on that big white sheet that everybody has to hang up in their workplace, gender identity and expression was listed, and these McDonald's workers were able to look at that every day when they came into work? It starts to drive home the point. The 55-year-old woman that came to her aid also ended up getting assaulted, punched in the face. She said she only got involved because she thought the girl was going to die.
That was an interesting quote from her, too, that I thought was very...
Yeah, one of the McDonald's workers had said to her, that's not a girl, right? That's a guy. That's a transvestite.
Wasn't it the manager? Didn't they say it was the manager?
I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Somebody said, I'm not sure who it was, but yeah.
Yeah, it said something to the effect that, that's not a girl, right? That's a transvestite. And to which her response was, so, she's still human.
Yeah.
Right.
And ironically, the...
sort of the idea being it's okay to beat her to death because she's
a
trans.
Yeah. Even if she was a cross-dresser, male dressed as female, it doesn't mean it's okay to treat her that way. You don't like her, you don't like her. You don't have to like her, but you don't get to beat her to a pulp because you don't like her.
Right.
And ironically, when the 18-year-old was brought before a judge for bail, her lawyers, or the prosecution even, was looking to set a fairly high bail. The judge actually asked she was brought up on, I think, assault 1 and assault 2 charges, the 18-year-old. And the judge, after hearing the evidence, asked the prosecutors why they weren't going for an attempted murder charge.
And a hate crimes charge. I
Well,
think he brought that up, right?
There's a big question out there right now about whether or not the prosecutors are going to file additional charges, including hate crime charges.
Mm-hmm.
Maryland does apparently have hate crimes on their books, like Connecticut does. They did not initially file hate crime charges, but what was said was that the initial charges were based upon what the police had gathered when they arrived on the scene. So you'd hope within a couple of days they'd be able to put it together, but the initial charges were based on the police finding a woman in a seizure after a beating.
And so, and this drives home what you were saying earlier. People wonder sometimes why we need laws protecting trans people against discrimination and violence. Well, in the racial civil rights era in this country, people used to think it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't to beat people up because they didn't like them because of their race, or to deny access to public accommodations like restrooms. And it did take, unfortunately, it took legislation to sort of take that out of the culture. And I think this issue is going to be remembered the same way.
Yeah, and a lot of people have made the comment, and it's true, and we've seen it as well, that with each subsequent generation, there's more and more understanding, there's more acceptance, there's more tolerance, and but you should. The flip side is the answer shouldn't be, just wait a few generations and it'll be okay.
It'll only be okay in a few generations if we take these steps now.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you can actually ask young people today, about this, and they will sometimes actually say things like, "Oh, you mean we don't already have that?"
Yeah.
There are a lot of people in this, in this country, young people and probably old people too, but I'm sort of our younger generation has sort of gotten used to the, equal rights and fairness and anti-discrimination law, and I think there are a lot of people out there that sort of assume that we have these kind of protections, and guess what? We don't. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a disturbing video, and it's really,
Well,
a really unfortunate incident.
It's disturbing that it happened, and it's disturbing that it was a pair of teenagers. And it was disturbing that everybody was standing around watching this poor trans woman get her butt kicked, and nobody did anything except the manager. Or the manager you saw him in a couple cases try and pull one or the other off. But he had so much authority in that situation if he chose to exert it. They did call the police. The police were on their way.
There are various reports in the news about who said what, and we're going to have to wait for the eventual litigation, which we.
But no amount of words justifies ending up in that kind of in a fight to begin with.
I always ask myself what people should be expected to do, and if someone's brandishing a gun or a knife, then can you expect someone to step in the way? But in this instance, and no one did it. No one called the police.
No, they did call the police.
Okay.
Yeah, the police
were.
were.
Eventually. Just standing around and videotaping it, and then.
It's the standing around and videotaping it ends up being very useful to us because it documents the event. And, no amount of he said, she said is going to get past that video.
Right.
There's nothing that gets said should ever escalate to that level of violence. And you get to see in that video a 22-year-old trans woman who is trying to protect her head, who is fighting back far enough to try and keep them off of her. She's not chasing them down. They keep coming back to her. So it's really disturbing that it happened, and the word that came to mind for me was soullessness of the onlookers.
Right.
But it's a sad story that people could watch that happen and giggle at it.
Right.
The manager really, in my opinion, really could have done more. He really could have controlled the situation. He didn't. And in the end, what they're saying is that McDonald's, by proxy with him, failed to protect the customer on the premises.
Right.
There's no amount of hey, you shouldn't have been in there kind of talk that should escalate to that level anywhere. Yeah. But it did. And nobody seemed to think it was a problem.
That's really sad.
Until somebody thought that the girl was going to die. And that's when she got involved.
Yeah.
And then they're telling these women, the 14 and 18-year-old, oh, you got to get out of here. The cops are on their way. The cops are on the way. You got to get out of here. Protecting the assailants instead of protecting the victim.
Yeah.
It's
terrible.
Disgusting. But, so we have 5 minutes left. We can find our denouement.
Sorry. Anyway. Anyway, the anti-discrimination bill is very, very important, and we're going to continue talking about that in weeks to come, and probably have Diana back to talk about it at some point.
If you want to learn more, you can go to ctequality.com.
Yep.
They have all the information about the bill, as well as the next steps, what you can do to help, information about tomorrow's lobby day, how to find out who your representative is, and then how to contact them to express your opinion about the bill.
Yeah. All very important. And certainly, one thing I wanted to mention, while I've still got a little bit of voice, is that we are going to be changing time slots. We're not changing days. We're still going to be on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
We're going to be going from, not immediately, but we will be going from 8 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
In July.
In July, yes, for the next the next 13-week session. So,
Yes.
So
We've got our July, August, September time slot, and it'll be Wednesdays at 7.
at 7, yeah. So we'll be on an hour earlier.
There's a new show coming on the air at 8 o'clock, and they bumped us.
They bumped us. Yeah.
But he's a nice man.
Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't kill him or anything. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so we're going to change time slots, and then who knows what'll happen in the fall. It gets really crazy in the fall, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to mention that. So just remember.
We try to get some lead time on it this time.
Yeah, because I know we always
So
forget.
through May and June, we'll be here at 8 o'clock, and then come July, we're going to move to 7.
Yeah. So, anyway, I guess that's kind of what's going on. And what else? Spring's here. Can't you tell? But
Garden's been started.
garden's been started. I'm just hopefully by next week. Hopefully by next week the trees will calm down a little bit, and I will be sort of starting to get back to normal. Spring's that's one thing about this part of the country. It all happens at once. It's like God. Guys could just stagger just a little bit,
Well, the magnolias are starting to die.
Yeah,
There might be hope for you.
but it's like, the trees, everything goes into bloom all at once, and it's like you go from nothing to just this wall of pollen.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. Come fall, I'm going to be sounding like you.
Yeah. Right.
But
Anyway, so tomorrow's lobby day. We got the 30th is the
Transgender Lives and the Trans Art Show in Rockville,
yeah.
which I can't remember the name of.
Yeah.
And then in May, the 5K walk run for True Colors. And then June is Pride Month.
Pride Month, yeah, except for ours, which is actually going to be in September.
Going to be in September. I moved to September to support a tie-in with the schools and an anti-bullying message.
Yeah, which is certainly a worthy message.
Even if you're not going to be able to wear sandals to the Connecticut Pride.
Well, maybe it could be a warm September. You never know. I'm hoping. But anyway.
Well, they've been scorchers the last few years, so.
Yeah, I know it's been terribly hot every year for Pride,
But there's still a lot of Pride events in
yes
in June, all through Massachusetts, Northampton, Springfield, Rhode Island, New Haven, Norwalk, New York, all around. So we're going to start spooling up those dates in May, so you know when they are and where they are.
Yeah.
Rhode Island's supposed to have the incredible nighttime electric parade, I think.
Yeah, I've heard about that, but I haven't seen it, so maybe we'll get to go this year.
Seen the one at Disney.
Mm. Yeah. Anyway, I know that clock is probably not right. It's been stuck at 4 minutes for a long time. So.
Well, yeah, but 8:52 means we have like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. So anyway, so what else is going on in our last 2 minutes? Anything?
No, I can't think of anything. I was unable to get a connection.
Okay. All right, then I think we're going to sign off, so I can go cough up a lung, and hopefully by next week I'll be better. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and hopefully next week I will sound a little better. And
Roll the beautiful beam footage.
the what?
No, the credits.
Oh, the credits. Yes, are beautiful. Anyway, we will see you all next week. Thank you for joining us, and see you next week.